Hey pasa gente, bienvenido a Lucha Talk. I'm your host Dylan Fox. This is episodio 166 of our show, and joining me now to talk Lucha once again this month, after a little bit of a hiatus last month, to my virtual right, the man, the myth, and the producer, Microman Fever. We are back.
Yo, we are back. You know, you'll call it a hiatus, but I don't think that much has happened from that time to now. And we came back now for a very special event.
Oh, a very special event. Who we had here? That is right. This show, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in CMLL at the end, but we're primarily going to be talking about Triplemania, the 32nd edition, technically in numeric value, but really a lot more because they kind of had different ones, like in different cities that were all under the same name. This one was the biggest one, though. Ciudad de Mexico's version in Mexico City, with Triplemania coming in at its normal time in August. You had the show, Triller. You could tune in and even watch it for free at times because they forgot to turn on the paywall to it. So, they had a lot going on. Arena Ciudad, excuse me. But regardless, this show, it had a lot going on into it. A lot of outside people involved. A lot of people you might not expect involved. And so many different changes to Vampiro's retirement tour that has happened that it turned out to not be in a retirement match at all, but just another match on his tour of matches. And who better to have than Jeff Jarrett, Double J, involved? He could not let Vampiro go without being involved in one of his matches, in multiple matches, in fact, on the show, as we'll talk about it. You had surprises. You had the Apuestas match at the end, in the cage, the Dome of Death they had. So they had a lot going on the show. But the fact remains, AAA has been in some hot water recently. It feels like nothing's really gone their way in a long time. But this is the biggest show of the year for them. This is the show everybody knows for AAA. Where was your level of hype or interest in this show at? Knowing the card, knowing where we were going, what were you thinking about this card going in?
Yeah, I tell you, going in, my interest was, at the floor pretty much. Not looking forward to anything. AAA have disappointed in the previous Triplemanias this year. Both of them failing tremendously.
Yes.
Just being total waste of time. They could have done something where they're building to climax at this Triplemania in the CDMX, but they chose not to. Before they've done like the Apuestas tournament where, it becomes apparent when you're watching it, the pairs, and as things advance, the final, and pretty much with that, you get the result already going into the show. And, this Triplemania is different. Yeah. I think they did a much better job, actually. Well, that's, my thoughts on the overall show we'll have, I guess, later. We'll ask about this, but, going in, not really excited at all. AAA is always making these, big promises and not delivering. So I was looking forward to more disappointment going in.
That was your feelings going in? Let's see if they changed your mind after watching the show. And what a show we had that could change your mind here. Things started off with the Reina de Reinas title match, Lady Flammer versus Fabi Apache. This match had a bunch of interference with Dallas, Sexy, Karen was involved. A lot was going on, much like all these matches. And I think we all knew that going in. It wasn't some big surprise or anything like that. The crowd looked pretty sparse here, I would say. But in the end, the first half of this, they wrestled all right. Like, it was pretty good with little wrestling they had. And then you had a lot with Dallas, Karen, Io Tarantes was in there. It was a AAA match, I would say. I would say it was good for what it was, but what it was is automatically not good, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's good if you don't watch, AAA all the time, or you're not used to seeing these types of matches. I think, for me, that's kind of like where it brings the entertainment value, and all these different things happening that you didn't expect. I think that's, AAA's calling card is to deliver these surprises that, you see coming out of nowhere. And, just wild things happening all the time. That chaos is you expect from AAA. Or, did before, they just got stagnant and nobody cared or tried.
Yeah.
And, this match, they did try. Fabi, she was dishing out a lot of moves, and Flammer, I think, looked even stronger by kicking out of everything and taking everything. And, there was a point of interference from the seconds, Sexy Star in Dallas, like you were saying. Who was it? Sexy Star. She did this dive off the top of the ropes, to the floor on the Dallas. It was just, one woman catching her. That was wild. That was a wild spot, for the opener, for a women's match too. And, the interference from Karen Jarrett, who was in the front row. She eventually got pulled into the match and, stomping away on Fabi. And they brought in Hijo de Tirantes into the match, and he was part of it too. Him and Fabi did not get along.
Long time AAA storyline, yes.
Yep. That was good to see that, heat up again, because, they did the mistake of having Hijo de Tirantes and Lady Shani have their match. And, that match is pretty much destined for Fabi. And maybe that's going to be a future match up there that they can do. I think that's like money left on the table if you don't do that. So we'll see where that goes.
It really shows respect to your audience that has been sticking around all of these years with you to do that. I don't think that, you said, I do think that would be a draw for the AAA fans. But
isn't that like the fans that are left, the ones that have been sticking around and won't leave?
That's it. The fans just won't leave. Is the only thing.
They won't leave because they keep bringing these people back. And
there you go. See, so like you said, they're leaving it on the table, and they need to get it together and put Fabi and Hijo de Tirantes together. But yeah, like they're good. Fabi always still really good in the ring. Flammer's a very strong wrestler as well. So it depends on what you're looking for. But in AAA, I think we all have to kind of grade on a curve a little bit when it comes to the in-ring stuff. But if you want to talk about grading on a curve, let's talk about Copa Bardal. And I'm just going to point out the list of names here. Okay. So we've got Zumbido, Nino Hamburguesa, Mr. Iguana, Microman, Mascarita Sagrada, La Hiedra, Jessie Queen, Heavy Metal, Guapito, Estrellita, Elegido, Charlie Manson, Pimpinella Escarlata, Alan Stone, Kenzo Suzuki, and Marco Corleone. That's right. Marco returned to AAA, the most random return of all time. And Kenzo as well, a completely random return, to be fair. But Marcos was critical of AAA in the past. But
yeah,
years go by, time moves along. He is back for this one-off appearance, and who knows where things will go. It's AAA. Who knows where anything will go? But they were all here, and they all lost to Octagon Jr. at the end to win the Copa Bardal. Like all of these style of matches, it's not necessarily about being a great match. But I do think it's funny that it came down to Zumbido, as the last one against Octagon Jr. Out of all of these people. But just a very, very random match.
And I felt like Zumbido was the best guy in the match.
Yeah. Well, that tells you something, I would say, about this match, right? Say no more.
Well, I think, Zumbido's, really good. And he's kind of, kept up, kept in shape, and
he's just old.
Still active, yeah. Just old and a hell of a talent.
What about Elegido though?
Elegido, whoa. He's kind of falling off.
Big fall that he took from that high peak he was at before.
Yeah, Copa Triplemania was just a lot of fun, I think. Yeah, the same fans I was talking about, yeah, they love this match. This is classic AAA for them.
Yeah.
All the nostalgia. This is what, you can do with these types of matches. Just give the fans what they want. And I think they delivered here. And it wasn't even, I would say this is the best Copa Bardal that they've done ever.
Yeah.
Just because the way it flowed, and there wasn't like a lot of hang-ups on people and finishes and eliminations like there was before. People just be eliminated off screen and you never see them. They'd, be in the ring and then disappear minutes later. Not like that here. There was more consistency and a lot more of a story within the match.
Well, besides like Iguana, Microman, Octagon who won, and La Hiedra, it was like all nostalgia. People pretty much. So, I mean, that's what this was. Again, you have your expectations. For what they wanted to accomplish and what this match was about, it was a successful match. Like, I don't think you can argue that. Obviously, and again, the good thing about this is that there was no need for it to even be a good match. You could just have it be what it was, and it worked, and everybody got to look, the best they could without even having to look that good. So in the end, Octagon got the win. And, like you said, it was one of the better Kofa Triplemanias or Bardals or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day. Because at least, never mind quality, but at least it was successful in what they were wanting to accomplish.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention one of the big surprises was the inclusion of Mascarilla Sagrada.
Yep, he was there.
Legendary wrestler. Once he got eliminated, these other two micros came out. And it looked to me
big
like
jump.
Yes, the Micro Gemelos Diablo from CMLL here in AAA. And to me, that signals that AAA is going to go all in on the micro division and make them a part of the show now.
How will CMLL recover?
This is a big loss for them.
It really shows they're in big trouble, I think. But they had bigger problems. We'll talk about a little bit later with their biggest show of the year they have. But yes, we'll see what they can do, and if the minis can have a bigger role here, the micros can have a bigger role here. It could be good stuff. And there was a good effort by the end with Zumbido and Octagon too, so it's pretty good at the end of the day. And by the rules, it means Octagon Jr. can get a title shot at any title he wants in AAA. Do you think he'll make that run? Like he'll be kind of like a leading technical that he go against Alberto and friends?
I don't see that. No, I think he's missing something. He's that extra star power that certain people have, and I don't see it in him. Even though, he's been a guy that they've been trying to build, but I don't think he's there yet.
I do agree with that. Like I said, it's hard to argue that statement. I mean, we've seen him for a while now. Yeah. It's crazy because he's still not old at all. But he's been when he was Golden Magic. That was like 10 years ago, it's like we've seen him for a while now, and I think we always kind of feel the same way. Like he's good, like we like him, but we don't love him. I think that's kind of how most people feel about him. And maybe they'll have some big plan with the gimmick and getting that involved somehow. But I do think he needs to add some things, or he just doesn't have some things that you would want ideally at the end of the day. But then. We come in, we get the big entrance for Negro Casas and Psycho Clown team. They come out, they get a huge reaction. You get the Wagner family team, and the Wagner Jr. and Galeno Del Mal, and of course, the third, Lucha royalty family, Raj Desi and Satnam Singh. From India.
With what? Jeff Jarrett.
And Jeff Jarrett. Again, this was like a Jeff Jarrett show. Almost. You had Karen in the opener. Literally half the matches on this card, he had his fingerprints on in some way.
Yep.
Double J.
I have to say, it's been an improvement so far comparing to the last Triplemanias.
That's true. Like you're right about that. But Double J getting his spots, getting his pops, getting his guitar shots. And that's how this match ended, in fact. At the end of the day, he blasted Wagner with the guitar.
What happened to Wagner?
Yeah.
Who was that? Was that even him?
It was a fake Dr. Wagner, you think?
It could be. A double.
Stunt double for the guitar shot.
Didn't you see his face? Am I the only one?
If there was controversy, it may have been Casas he hit with the guitar, now that I think about it. Are you sure it wasn't Casas? I'm
sure Casas got the guitar.
Yeah, but
at the end for the finish.
Right.
But Wagner, it's
you think it was a fake.
He must have had some kind of work done is what I'm saying.
Well,
you didn't notice his face? It's like,
oh, I mean,
someone ironed everything out.
do you think it's an improvement?
I don't know. Like, it just looks weird to me. He looks younger, but it looks weird.
He's trying to keep himself young by any means necessary. Okay. We're not going to criticize a legend like Dr. Wagner Jr. For plastic surgery if he did choose that. But what I will criticize is why were the Team India in this match?
Oh, man. AAA have always wanted to get big in India, so...
Of course. I mean, that's always been their goal from the beginning. I think most people agree.
This is the key.
Bringing in Raj Desi.
Yep.
The former Jinder Mahal, by the way, if you don't know. How much do you think it cost to book Jinder at the show?
Conan's complained about the cost to book Roosh on a AAA show before, where he's like, instead of Roosh, I could get, I think he said 5 or 6 guys.
Okay.
So I would think like around that range is what it costs to get ex Jinder Mahal on AAA.
I think it was quite
way more than what it's worth.
Yeah, that's a good point in and of itself. At least getting Roosh, you get Roosh. If you bring him in. With Jinder, you get Jinder. When would you bring him in? Or Raj Desi. But they're the champions now.
I mean, they're counting on that Impact to take place.
Yeah. I mean, and Satnam's in AEW. You get to have that belt on all Jeff Jarrett's shows like that he's on. He's one of the main characters of AEW right now, so you get him in the background with the belt. Big promotion for AAA. I can see the vision. But this match sucked. I thought.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, I thought, but it did get better when they started to treat it like a handicap match, where it's like the Mexicans teamed up on the Desi people.
Yeah, and Jeff.
Yeah, and then the finish, classic Jeff Jarrett.
Why couldn't we just had the Wagners and the Casas family against each other? That would be a cool match. You could even pin Galeno if that's the problem. He wouldn't have a problem.
I thought that was the end goal of the whole thing, because they kept
little did we know
facing against each other in the other shows. Where it's like, we're finally going to get the showdown here. Nope. Jeff Jarrett.
Instead, it's all about Jinder and Satnam Singh and Jeff Jarrett. I mean, the logical people in this, Wagner and Casas rivalry over the years.
Yeah.
So yeah, they come in. Is this where they did so they had this big pomp and circumstance for the original Psicosis to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. They did a lot of stuff here. They had a bunch of people talk about him. The big thing that everybody latched on to was Rey Mysterio Rey Mysterio Jr. sending in a video, putting him over, and saying how much of a legend he was. This might have been the best part of the show to me, actually. Because listen, say what you want. Nicho, he's had some rough years for a while now, but you can't deny this man as the level of worker he was. And he was so influential to so many people. Such a great legend in Lucha Libre and even into America when he came in. He was just a really great wrestler overall. And to see him get honored is very cool, I thought.
Yeah, he's a legendary wrestler. I think, he came up during one of the toughest times for a wrestler to break through and become a name. He had to go against some of the biggest names ever and legends.
Yep.
I mean, matches for Ray, Hijo del Santo, the Park, everyone, that most people know as legends now, all came up at the same time. So it was very competitive. And
because he broke in the same time as Hoovy.
Yeah, he really stood out.
Yeah, absolutely. He wasn't as acclaimed, in terms of titles and mass matches and stuff. He wasn't as acclaimed as some of these other guys. He was just a great wrestler. A great luchador in a lot of ways. So he was a really, really strong performer, even well into America, but also in Mexico as well.
Japan.
Japan as well. That's a great point as well. That was a part of their touring matches with Psicosis and Ray Jr. They worked everywhere. Whether it was War, ECW, AAA, he had matches. He had a great match versus Hijo del Santo. When Santito was in AAA for that run. He had like a lot of really cool stuff, man. Just a great career and a hell of a performer, and well deserving of this stuff. So this is really cool to me. And again, this was like the one part of the show I was actually happy during, I think, because the rest of it I was really like, man, I hate this. But this came in and I was like, man, I love it. Like, this is so cool, and I'm very happy for him. So shout out to Psicosis. And this would not be the last we see of a Psicosis in a big spot on this show here, but he was the man, for sure. Shout out to Psicosis / Nicho. But that led to the Cruiserweight title. We had a triple threat match here. Commander defending his belt against Laredo Kid and Matt Riddle. And wouldn't you know it, but we saw the bro Derek at the end of the day. And I will say, this was probably the best match on the show when it was Laredo and Commander going at it. But then Matt had to kind of like put a stop to that. It was like, hey, wait a minute, we can't have good wrestling on this show. We're gonna have good Lucha Libre on this show. We have to put a stop to that crap. And he did. He accomplished his goal and wrecked this match, and then he won. And for what reason? He's another one. Listen, Riddle's not coming cheap, guys. Like, coming in here, you can't say, Conan can't say, talk about budget issues and all of that, and then bring in Matt Riddle and make him the champion. And these guys, because he's not coming in cheap. That's some nonsense. We saw how his New Japan run ended in disaster with him having a meltdown and dancing his goofy ass out of the arena after he had to do a job. So I don't know what's going to happen, but he sucks. Like, that's the problem. I never liked him. I always thought he was overrated, like, in the ring. His gimmick is god awful. I absolutely hate his personality. He's no stranger to bullshit controversies and all of this. He's just not, there's no reason for him to be here. He just sucks, man. Like, what did he bring in this match? Because like I said, the other two, they really did good. They looked like they wanted to make this match mean something, and it was special to them to be in a Triplemania for some reason here. And then this is how you do it? This is how you do these guys? Put Riddle over? What?
Yeah. Well, in the press conference, to set this up, the Laredo Kid was there, and they brought out Commander, and they both talked about having how Commander saw Laredo as this mentor and an idol of his, someone that he wanted to be like, and was really excited to have a match with him on a Triplemania, and it set up like their big match. And then you add Riddle to this, and it really just derailed what they were doing and wanted to do, and just to put him over as the next champion, and maybe we'll never see him again or that belt. Yeah.
I mean, where would he go? He's not signed anywhere. Like, you don't get any publicity from him as champion.
Well, it's a branding move. They're still counting on people knowing that he was ex-WWE.
That's true. I mean, that does matter. Like, that could go a long way to a section of fans, even in Mexico. But it's not worth it. At what cost, though, to have Riddle as your champion?
Yeah, you never know.
Well, anyway, like I said, they made sure that we couldn't have a good match on the show with that. But a really hard work with Laredo and Commander. They deserve a lot of credit, even though this match wasn't that good overall. And I think this is where they actually did the Hall of Fame stuff. It was awesome. Like I said, again. So then we come in with Vampiro. Do you want to explain this? Like, what did this match here? And all that happened in this match?
Well, it started off as this announcement, the Vampiro retirement tour, and he was going to have what was supposed to be the culmination of that on this show. The
but it drew too well. Yes, so they couldn't stop it.
Yeah, I mean, promoters are noticing that there was a difference between shows with Vampiro on them and shows without him on there. And, of course, they're going to promote their show as the last Vampiro match ever. They've just, been stretching it out and drawing it out to this point and the future, I'm pretty sure. The whole thing, like, surrounding Vampiro, like, his whole thing is, like, he wants to always have, like, an exit and have an out. So he's going to play, like, both sides, and you're never going to know, what's the truth with him, as we've seen in the past. And here, it was just like a spectacle of a match. It was promoted as a cinematic match very early on. People already knew, it wasn't going to be a match. But, yeah, it had, like, things that go on in the match. And it was pretty much like a casket match. But it was different. How different, you ask? There's just a lot of different characters from Vampiro's past that they wanted to highlight along his AAA career in this match. And that would be in the form of people showing up from his past, like ghosts, I would say.
Right, of course, do you know who the first one was that started off?
Well, let me start,
okay,
by saying that Vampiro arrived in a hearse inside of a casket that they pulled out from this hearse.
So he loses automatically in this casket match. It's over like right away.
If only it would have been like that, but it was not. And they unleashed Vampiro out of this casket, and he went on to have this experience, I guess is what people would describe it as, this match. He would go on, go through his career as like a timeline, having like all these people show up. It was like run-in after run-in after run-in, throughout his years of AAA and his career. Just, all these different people, but, everyone got older, so everyone's just like, in different stages of their life. And they've included some people from current AAA and current wrestling. Yeah, I think it was the first one.
It was Double J.
Double J. Okay,
yeah, of course. And
then
the
natural rival. He has like a past with him. There's
what that past
there.
is, I'm not sure. But
well, Vampiro said before that in WCW, Jeff Jarrett was supposed to lose to him. Do the job for, I think Vampiro said it was supposed to be for the title, the world title.
Right.
That Jeff was holding at the time, and he put a stop to it. Ever since then, Vampiro's, just hated his guts, because, as that would have been like a big career changer.
Oh, yeah.
It would have shifted the path that he took and everyone around him took, so.
What about Sam Adonis?
Sam Adonis, I don't know. He just, clinged on here like he always does.
He just hung out with Jeff. It was like, all right. Yeah.
Gringo's bad, so that's what happened there. Vampiro took him on, and that led to the, the good run-in from Pagano. I think it was the first guy that came in to help.
Yeah, it's kind of like they would do something where Rudo would run in, and then immediately somebody would run in to even the odds. And did Vampiro take any bumps in this whole thing? He kind of just walked around through it.
I think he took a slam. I'm not sure if it was in the ring or outside.
There was a lot of walking and brawling, but not without the brawling.
Now, who was next? I don't remember.
Yeah, wasn't it Chessman?
Yes, Chessman. And then that brought out Pagano because they were feuding.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then after that, Mecha Wolf too. After that, the next person that came out, I think it was Pirata Morgan.
Yeah.
And then
Octagon came out to fight him. Well, Octagon Jr.
Octagon Jr. Like, why?
Well, they don't have the regular Octagon, so this is who we got. We saw NGD next. Because, they kind of showed, yeah, Sin Caras was there too. They had the whole deal there.
The crowd was loving this.
Oh, yeah, it totally worked.
It was just like something new and different.
Yeah.
And I was liking it too when I was watching it. But, seeing them, like, now, like, everyone's all old, like, all these old guys.
Macias was there.
Macias and Conan came out, but he came out the hell Vampiro.
Yeah.
And then they hugged.
Made so much sense considering what was going to happen in the next match. Then they opened the casket.
Right. And Macias was like taking the brawl over to the casket, and then he opened the casket because he wanted to put Vampiro in it. And then what happened? What did we end up seeing? We saw a lifeless La Parka inside the casket open its eyes and Thriller plays.
Yeah.
Just completely wild. Only in AAA will you see this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Probably for the best, I would say. That other companies don't attempt something like this.
What a wild visual. Could you imagine, WWE doing that?
Oh, they would get so much heat. Like, if that happened, like, they would hate it. Like,
say
the fans.
The Wyatts or whatever have a casket match and they at WrestleMania, and then they open the casket and then you see the Ultimate Warrior in there, and then he's like,
you didn't go where I thought you were going to go with that. Okay.
But yeah, this random guy, like in his makeup or whatever, starts pumping up. Could you imagine?
Well, I mean, we really only got the music playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he opened his eyes. It's like, what are you insinuating? So weird.
It was really weird. Yeah, like I said, let's just move on from all of this. But then,
I thought it was weird and funny, but I don't know.
It was. I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't know. Like, we all have different lines and stuff, but I didn't think this was offensive at least not to the fans in attendance. It was just weird. like that's all. But yeah, so he knocked him, like, that's when he put him in the casket, and then he set it on fire.
Yes.
Yeah, so Messias got his casket put on fire, and we'll never see him again.
That's a perfect ending. And then Vampiro gave his speech after the match, thanking the fans, kind of being unsure, about what he's doing and what he's going to do next.
He's only got a dozen or so retirement matches left on this tour.
Yep, he's got to make that same speech.
Yes.
That many times. Yes.
So we look forward to that. But again, this was, for what it wanted to accomplish, this was successful. Is what they accomplished good or not, I think is a different story. But I think they hit every mark that they wanted for what they wanted to do. If that makes sense.
Yes.
But I mean, I just think, there's going to be a day where you look back. We all have to reach this point where we look back at our lives and you think about, like, this is a show that I'm going to remember. I'm going to be thinking, man, I could have used these hours for so many different things. And I used it to watch Triplemania. What was I thinking? But yes, that happened again. Like, I think for what they wanted, it worked, but it was so, and like you said, you won't see this anywhere else, like this kind of match. I will give them that. So I can't completely bury this, but I wouldn't say I liked it either overall. But it was at least a spectacle, like, no doubt about that. Better than what we would see coming up. So Alberto, he's here, and he's gonna come in to fight. And who does Nick Nemeth, the current Mega Champion, bring out with him? JBL. What? When were they ever aligned in any point in Nick Nemeth's career?
No, that was a surprise.
It was. How much do you think that cost to bring JBL in?
I wonder now, like, the budget.
He did it on the friend price for his good buddy K-Dog. K-Dog sent him a DM saying, hey, you listen to my podcast? And JBL was like, hell yeah.
That's how it started.
Yeah. And they became great friends, and look where we got. So the friend price for JBL, and you got Nick Nemeth, Alberto. This is WWE in 2010 personified.
And they had a WWE match.
Yeah, from 2010. Main event, I think.
I think Alberto was better back then. Now, it's like, he stopped trying. He's not even going to try to wrestle anymore. He's going to do what he's always done and not learn anything new. At
least he's not in the shirt anymore.
Yeah. He's not wearing the extra medium shirt anymore. Yeah. He's ripped, but he hasn't, learned any new moves or...
No.
To improve. With Nick Nemeth, I think he was doing more of the work at the match, but
he tried. Like, he tried. I'll give him that. There was effort here from him.
there was effort, and then
it just didn't lead to anything good. But it was effort at least.
yeah. And one thing I noticed, AAA using these doors, like where'd they get these doors? Like already holes in them and
right,
already cut up. I don't know. I guess that explains the budget right there.
Yeah. They just go around trying to find old doors at a dump somewhere.
Yeah, I did not like this match.
No,
I don't think anybody would enjoy this match, but except for JBL being a surprise, I guess that's some kind of value to it.
For no reason. Like there was no purpose behind him being a surprise.
There was reason added after the match.
Right, yeah, that's true. But yeah, the match was like probably better than their last one, but like that's about as nice as I can be. And they at least try to tell the story with the foul at the end, to call back to how Nemeth won. So they at least had some thought and some effort into this, but it was not good. Like let's just be honest, it wasn't good. But then after that, Latin Lover came out and was like trying to be like, hey, Alberto, you're the man now. And Alberto was saying like, yeah, I'm the champion. You might not like it, but there ain't nothing you can do about it. And Latin Lover's like, yeah, well, I may be old and I can't do lucha anymore, but I can fight. And then they went after it. And then Alberto, Conan came out. And they did like, whose side is he on? And of course, he turned against Latin Lover right away. Then third player came out in a mask, and it turned out that he was Dorian Rodon, and he is also with them. And then that led to JBL stepping up, and for the third time in a row, we had whose side is he on, with JBL giving them the thumbs up. He shook the hand of Alberto. And they were all evil together.
Yep, Alberto revealed that he was the person behind these mysterious eye videos.
Yeah, the evil eye or whatever. Yeah.
All these videos that they've been playing at shows randomly have this explanation for them. This new heel group, I would assume. There's no...
Why? Yeah, why wasn't Alberto, 1? 2... Why is Dorian trying to lead a new Secta ripoff group against his own company that he owns? 3, why did we need Nick Nemeth for this run if this was the end game of it? And 4, why is Conan still in the wrestling business in any form at this point? All these questions that I don't know if anyone has any answers to.
I guess they're like, we don't care how we got here.
That's the correct answer right there.
The fans must not care as well.
Do you think the eye really got over with the fans? Everyone was like, who's the eye? Like it was the big story.
Yeah, I think fans were curious and wanted to find out.
Everybody likes mysteries and reveals and stuff. Like that's a very easy angle. Very hard to pull off if you're AAA apparently, but a very easy starting point, I would say.
But yeah, they completely bombed it with this reveal. It doesn't make sense.
Is JBL going to come back? Like, is he a part of this group now?
I hope so.
Obviously, me too. What did they gain from all of this?
Well, you can see what they're going to lose from all of this if they don't follow through and keep bringing some of these people back. That's one of the main vital things they have to do.
Do you think Dorian will be a good Rudo?
He's naturally a Rudo.
Okay.
Look at him.
Okay. I feel you on that. It's such a stupid. All of this was so stupid.
It is stupid. Yeah.
And the match itself. They could have built any two people for this exact same angle, and you would have at least had a good match out of it.
I do like that they're playing off the real life aspect of. Latin Lover being in this position, talent relations position, and, kind of berating Alberto for winning that way.
Yeah.
And that triggering him, for this to happen. And, we saw nobody come to help Latin Lover.
Poor Latin Lover. Who What kind of big match do you think Latin Lover will have? What if it's Latin Lover versus JBL at the end of all this?
Man, what if?
Dream match. I think it's what we've all wanted for all these years. That's what everybody pointed to as the one match that we just never got to see in Lucha.
No. Yeah, Latin Lover. He said that he has like this neck spinal issue that he really shouldn't be in the ring anymore doing any kind of wrestling.
Right.
But you saw him take a big bump here off a lariat clothesline, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, for sure he's not telling the truth. Of course, naturally a wrestler.
Never lie. Would never lie to.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of something cooking there.
Well, we'll see what the future for this new group is, the I group. And Alberto is the mega champion. There's not a lot I'm interested in personally, but maybe they'll figure something out. I've tried to form a group of technicos to combat the power of AAA now, once again. But it all led to the main event, Domo de la Muerte. But basically, it's a cage, but it's a dome, and it's a puestos match. So there's no real fanciness to it.
Yep. Last one in.
We had Abismo Negro Jr., Psicosis, El Fiscal. You had Cibernetico, Dark Cuervo, Dark Oz, Dave the Clown, Murder Clown, and Panic Clown. And they were all in this deal. And it came down to a yet another turn to end the show with Abismo Negro helping out Cibernetico to knock Psicosis down and fall through a bunch of tables. And that led to Psicosis losing. The match, to me, there's not a lot to say about this. to me, it came down to Cibernetico and Psicosis, and they did the thing where they tried to climb up, and, Psicosis took the big bump with the bat and all that stuff. I just think that the match wasn't any kind of main event that I would want to pay for if I were a fan. At the end of the day. And on top of it, with all due respect, nobody in this match felt like there was grand stakes involved in all of this. Psicosis, I suppose, gets a payday out of it. I would say, yeah, this match was rough. I would say in general, definitely not something I wanted to see. But he took the mask off, said he was 20 years a wrestler. His real name is Juan Gonzalez Cruz, and he gave a speech. He's from Puebla. Shouted out Peñas for giving him the chance, and said, yeah, he probably wasn't the original, but who could follow him? He's right about that at the end of the day. And then, despite the fact that he got turned on, he then gives props to Cibernetico, and that's it, pretty much. How would you judge this main event and the aftermath with Psicosis 2, also known as Ripper?
Yeah, this was the main event, and this had to be something special. Well, I don't think it had to be something special. I think people just expect there to be a mask or a hair being lost here, and they really just threw all these people together and did that, to have something for the fans and for the show that they could sell. For me, it was really an inoffensive match. I thought it was all right. I had fun, watching it.
There was a lot going on in it, with so many guys. It's not like things stalled out and got too slow. They really kept it moving with so much going on.
Yeah.
in the dome.
I thought it was really actually well done in that aspect. They kept it going.
Yeah.
Kept things moving. There was that much dead space. The escapes were, added to the story. You had Abismo Negro Jr. and El Fiscal go at it, show friction there between them. And there was a brawling and weapons and, big ladders. And of course, the clowns. Best moment on the show was when Murder Clown was elevated out with balloons.
Yeah, that did happen.
That's like, another only in AAA moment.
Yeah.
So I thought that was amazing. That was like, where was this kind of thinking before? But I'm glad they finally got something right. And I thought the match delivered. And, Cybernetico, in a way, yeah, it's going to be shown as the winner of the match because he was in there with Psicosis.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like he won that mask. And if you remember, like, Cybernetico actually had left AAA.
Yep.
And he went to film and do other things outside of wrestling. He was on the MasterChef show.
He had a podcast.
Yep, still does. So I think in a way enticed them back in here in the AAA, promising this kind of spot on the Triplemania and winning a mask. Well, I don't think Psicosis would, want to lose his mask to someone else in that match. There wasn't really that many good candidates for him to lose to. So obviously Cybernetico is going to be the guy winning as well.
Right.
He can't really escape the cage that well. It's, his physical condition. Yeah, I think they checked off everything in the match and they really delivered. I think an ending. It might not be like the most emotional or best ending, but they fulfilled what the fans wanted.
I suppose so. But that was Triplemania. A lot, and I do mean a lot, happened on this show. You cannot claim that this was a show where nothing happened or it was super boring, to say the least. So that is one good thing about it. How would you grade the show as a whole? Pretty much. Like what were your feelings coming out of it now that we've seen the show and here we are?
Well, I was, before the show, pretty dead on it. Like nothing exciting for me. I was going to watch the show just to watch the show. But as watching the show, getting all these kinds of surprises and things happening, things progressing, new directions being taken, I think that's what you want from a big show or, a big show for a company. You want to leave people wanting to know what's next. And I think that's the direction that they took here. It was a positive one because fans are gonna, be, I think, more excited for what's coming up with AAA. You're gonna have new champions pretty much across the whole roster, working with people from the outside. Coming out of it, I think there's going to be more interest because naturally people just tune in for this show, and
right,
ignore the rest of the year. And I think having like these kinds of moments happen on your show is going to be what's going to be a lasting impression on fans.
We'll directly quote one of our wonderful cage match inmates and our listeners for the show that the show airs on. I will quote Benny Five Belly's review of this here, and we will see how it goes. Quote, Triller forget to turn off the free feed so people get to watch the show without spending a penny. I discover Jindrak isn't dead. Jeff Jarrett hits Negro Casas with a guitar. Karen Jarrett gets chased around the ring. Jinder Mahal wins a tag belt with a fella from AEW. A good match nearly happens and Riddle wins a belt. Vampiro goes for a long walk, presumably looking for his carers. Dead Luparca turns up. Alberto gets on the gas. JBL gets a holiday to Mexico City. A clown escapes a cage via balloons. An owner invades his own promotion, presumably forgetting he already owns it. Triple A plus. I think that pretty much, it's hard to argue with any of that.
Oh man.
An excellent review at a 5 out of 10 score.
5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's very nice of him to say that. This to me is maybe a 0 out of 10. Like, if I hadn't watched the other Triplemanias, because I think this was actually better than the other Triplemanias that we saw, ultimately. It had some effort at times, some different ideas at times, and even a little bit of fun here and there at times. I wouldn't say this was a good show by any stretch of the imagination, but it was better than where we've been before, at least. And that would put it up a little bit higher.
I gotta go with the 7. I think the Vampiro match is what really turned it around.
And that was a spectacle. Again, they accomplished a lot of what they wanted to accomplish in a lot of these matches. That's not for me as a fan. Like, I'd say maybe so it's above 0 and 1 and 2, which we've seen. So, like, in a lot of ways, every show has gotten a little bit better. At some point, I might be able to get up there, maybe in 2 or 3 years, if it keeps up at this pace, I'll get up there with you at that 7, I would say. But Triplemania, you are allowed to decide. We all have different opinions on different visions of what we want Lucha Libre to be. And by God, that's what they gave us. They gave us a very unique version. The other unique version of Lucha Libre is CMLL. Really, the stuff that happened in the month prior, like Micro kind of said earlier, it's not like a lot happened. Mainly, they've been working with like AEW people. They brought in MJF, the Death Triangle. Mansoor was there, and I liked his tag match, to be fair. But they're doing a lot of that stuff, and they're building up to the Gran Prix, which is a show that almost always delivers big coming in. So we'll talk a little bit about the Gran Prix and a little bit about the Aniversario before we get out of here. And we'll have a deeper, talk about Gran Prix later. So the card so far for the Grand Prix that's taking place on the 23rd of August, you can check it out on CMLL's YouTube page. You had Viano 3 Jr. versus Fugaz in a lightning match. You've got Yuvia and Tessa versus Mystery Team for the women's wrestlers. You've got Atlantis, Blue Panther, and Octagon versus Angel de Oro, Cavernario, and Silverano Jr., who that trio had a really great trios match against Mascara Dorada, Mystico, and Templario on, I think, the last Friday show, Super Viernes. I think it was August 9th, so check that out. Really cool match. That's going to be a lot better than this, probably, with the old guys in there.
Yeah.
But the main event will be the Grand Prix. We've got Team International, Akira, Claudio Castagnoli, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Flip Gordon, Ikuro Kwan, Kyle Fletcher, Mansoor, Robbie X, Rocky Romero, and Yota. So we got a lot of different countries represented. Akira, US, Claudio, Switzerland, Davey Boy, Canada, Flip, also US, Kwan, South Korea. That has to be a first for the Grand Prix. Fletcher, Australia, Mansoor, Saudi Arabia, Robbie X represents England, Rocky, he represents Cuba, and Yota represents Japan. So a lot of cool stuff there, at least in terms of different countries. They take on the Mexican team of Atlantis Jr., Esfinge, Euphoria, Mascara Dorada, Templario, Titan, Ultimo Guerrero, Valiente, and Volador Jr. So the thing about both of these teams, I have the same feeling on both of them. They're halfway to a great team. And then the other half is like filled with guys who I don't really have much interest in. You look at Claudio, one of the best. Like, it's great to see him in Arena Mexico. He's a totally welcome guest, and he should be great. Mansoor, I really liked his tag match he had against the Chavez brothers like last week. Great tag match. He made a good impression. Rocky, one of the best. Suji, great prospect in Japan and has a good run in Mexico. Flip, very over with the fans. The other ones, it's going to depend on how you feel about, Robbie X. He's a Brit Res guy, which automatically puts him at a disadvantage in my book. Fletcher, another Brit Res guy, even though he's from Australia, and very much, if you like Will Ospreay, this is going to be one of your guys. Kwan and Akira, both MLW guys. We'll see how serious they take this and how hard they go for this. And Davey Boy, very consistent. He's not bad, but he's just not interesting. And Mexico team, Atlantis Jr., great, one of the biggest prospects. Euphoria, a great veteran, always love him. Dorada, one of the best prospects. Templario, great. Titan, great. Uji and Volador have legacy. I wouldn't say they're great anymore, but they could probably have a big, they're going to get great reactions and they can step up and have good matches. Valiente and Valiente and Esfinge, I didn't need them on the team. Overall, they could have picked some other people. But regardless, the match, if some of these guys end up really putting it all out there and performing big, this could be another good match because the crowd is going to carry this no matter who's in the match. And I think it's going to be a great spectacle, like no matter what. And that's interesting more so than the names itself. But I do like, at least for the international team, they went with all different countries this year, other than Flip and Akira being from the U.S. Everything else was like all different, unique styles. And I hope that it comes together and they can work this very passively as Rudos. Do you have any thoughts on the Grand Prix?
No, I agree pretty much with all of that. Yeah, I could do without half the team on both sides and have kind of similar expectations for the match.
And we'll see how it goes. They also announced a couple of matches for Aniversario, like Aniversario 91. And I mean, you had the opportunity to go see this show live and in person.
Yes.
And I know you could not wait with these two. As soon as they announced Jericho, you were just like rushing to the airport to already book your ticket. But for whatever reason, you just couldn't do it this year, unfortunately.
Well, even before anything was announced, I was like, this is the year. I'm going to Mexico City. I'm going to the anniversary show, no matter what. And then I get hit with, on this show, we've announced a special match, Mystico versus Jericho. And I'm like, no, it can't be. The one time I'm actually going to go, this happens. And then on top of that, you get the mask match that they're going with. And that's going to be most likely Esfinge winning the Mask of Valiente, which is going to be, it's going to be funny because the fans are going to shit all over Esfinge, but I don't want to see Esfinge, you know?
Right.
He's not interesting.
Nobody does.
He's pretty bad, I think. Well, he's not bad, but, you know, a ton of other guys that I want to see before him in this position, and it's you know, it's like another Dragon Rojo Jr. for me. You know, someone I'm not interested in. I have no investment in. I don't think they're that great.
It's bad. It's not neutral. It's negative.
Yeah. Well, I try to be nice, but yeah, it's not exciting. You know, going in, I thought they were going to do Bryan Danielson versus Mystico and a different kind of mask match, but, you know, at the last second, I guess Jericho stole that match from underneath him, or he had to go do what he's doing now, you know, whatever kind of medical thing he has. So, yeah, it just completely ruined my plans. And I guess the new plan is next year.
They'll have a better one next year. They'll bounce back. They were able to get by this year without blowing a big match. And that's all it is. The only thing I can say is I'm very happy Hechicero's in a main spot on Aniversario. You know, so he probably won't be involved in the finish, but that's fine. You know, he at least gets a moment. They could do something with him in Euphoria, playoff of history if they wanted. But more likely, like you said, what you said is the most likely thing, that Esfinge beats Valiente. And I don't care at all about Jericho, nor have I at any point in his AEW run, let alone now. But
yeah,
like, it's great for him that he gets to come back and relive. That's kind of what he does, you know, a lot of the times is relive old gimmicks. So, you know, Corazon de Leon coming back to take on Mystico. Like I said, they might be happy with it, and it'll probably get over with the fans. Like I'm like in Mexico, I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying when you see Mystico in the kind of year he's had, you really would have liked to see him like pay off some of these mass feud teases that he's done a lot of this year.
Yeah. He's teased, you know, a mass match for everyone pretty much on the roster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a ton of guys that you could have done that with, and instead you get this no stipulation, like low stakes match with Jericho. I don't know about that, man. Like that doesn't do it for me. They're gonna have to really put some work into this undercard, like to make something out of this Aniversario. This could be one of the worst ones we've seen in years, I would say. Ever since that cage match with Big Daddy, that was the worst one. It is.
Yes. By a lot.
Yeah, this will be better than that, but you should have higher expectations if you're CMLL for your Aniversario.
I mean, CMLL were so hot for the past year. And then this year, I feel like they've taken their foot off the gas and, you know, coasted off their success.
Yeah.
and really haven't felt the need to try, put in effort. And
I mean, the numbers are proving them right because like this stuff is all working. Like for Arena Mexico, like every Friday you're getting 14, 15,000 fans in ultimately, despite our objections of not being that interested. I mean, I thought the first half of the year was really good. The last month and heading into where we're going and what they've announced so far, I definitely think is a big drop off from where they were building and what my personal expectations were.
Yeah, I mean, I can think that AEW being more involved or sending more people over is what's killed it for me.
And I feel like they're getting, like, that's a big part of why they're getting so, like, lazy, kind of. They're relying on these AEW guys and, like, they're leaning into it too much. But I mean, like I said, we can't really say that because it's worked.
Yeah, it's getting results.
Yeah, so, I understand it. And listen, this show is going to do a great number. Like, there's no doubt in my mind this will be another sellout, regardless of the week main event that we have. And again, there are going to be some people that are into Jericho coming in to CMLL, but I have not been a fan of his at all in AEW. I was one of the few that didn't even like his first title reign. Let alone now where everybody knows he sucks. I always thought he wasn't very good in AEW. So we'll see what he does.
I mean,
maybe. Yeah.
I already bought my ticket before anything was announced.
That was a mistake.
Yes, obviously. No,
you could still go.
I could still go, and then not go to this.
They did not go to this. Yes, exactly. Listen, Mexico City is such a cool place. You could do cool stuff. Maybe you could even stick around for the week after and hope they have a great main event like on the Friday show. So I wouldn't give up on going to Mexico City. Mexico's a really cool place, in the big parts. So just hang tight and know that we're all praying for this to turn around and for this to have a huge match announcement, a huge spectacle that you could really hang your hat on, or at the very least, you could get rid of that ticket and you could wait until next year, hopefully. Yeah, that's about it. I would say this month. I mean, there's rumors about the Lucha Brothers. They were here, like in CMLL last month. Lucha Brother and King, as they were known as, for whatever reason, in CMLL. A lot of people think they're on the way out of AEW to go to WWE. I agree. Like, I don't think there's anything we can really, we can only speculate at this point, but it seems like they're probably going to leave.
Do you see them succeeding in WWE?
Yeah, if they signed there, I think they would get a huge initial run, like the first couple of months. And I think the tag scene in WWE they just don't care enough about it for any team to really do more than that. Like maybe, like if things break well, half a year, maybe a good WrestleMania match, they could build to that. There's been rumors about the Machine Gun signing to WWE as well. If you could get those two teams up in the mix on the main roster, you could build to something special. But I can't see much more than that, just because of nothing against them, but more so just how the company utilizes tag teams.
I think they end up going to WWE and then end up being involved with Rey Mysterio, doing something with him, Santos Escobar.
Yeah, I was about to say, does the LWO need more members?
Yeah, being part of that scene. I think that's kind of their destiny.
They're going nowhere if that happens. Man, yeah, I can't believe Ronnie's still there after all these years. Ronnie Mendoza.
It's like they forgot he was existing there.
Yeah. Like his contract is extended by accident, like 3 years in a row, I think, at this point. But I love that guy. What a great wrestler. If they would just use him. And Wild, too, is another good one. Like I said, they have these epic wrestlers, Dragon Lee, and they just don't ever do anything with them. It's kind of crazy. And it felt like they were really going somewhere with them earlier in the year at the very start with Santos' turn. They had some stuff going on, and it just, they push Andrade kind of on SmackDown. They push Santos kind of on SmackDown. But the rest, I mean, we saw that Garza, he re-signed, and he made that comment where he was just like, he more or less said, hey, this is a job, like for me. Like, and it just feels like everybody knows what the score is, and they're just happy to be there.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. They're just really busy with everything.
Yeah.
And I guess not enough time to fit everything or everyone on the show.
Push Cruz del Toro is the main thing we need to get WWE on right now.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see about that, how that plays out. Should be fun to see either way. Like, obviously they're a very strong team and have a lot of cachet with the American audience. So I think that's about it for this episode. We talked a little bit about everything. Like I said, a lot to talk about in AAA, and hopefully all you guys out there enjoyed it. It's great to be back on Lucha Talk, and Micro, I think the floor should be yours before we shut it down.
All right. You can reach me on Twitter or on X. Nobody calls it X.
Yeah.
At Microman Fever. Talk to me on there. Ask me anything. Say what's up, whatever you want. And thanks for listening.
Just make sure to keep watching Lucha, like whether it's CMLL, AAA, IWRG, well, maybe not that one. But, like I said, whenever you watch it, just have fun with it. And, like he said, we're always down to talk, especially about Lucha Libre. You can follow me at Viva_0 on Twitter. Lots of cool stuff planned in the future. Gonna be some big stuff coming in the next month or two. Hopefully it's, some big shows ahead as well. So, once again, like he said, thank you guys so much for listening. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, everywhere you want to listen. We're there. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, adios.